In today's video, I'm going to be discussing $1.5 trillion of Social Security money invested into the stock market in an effort to avoid $615 trillion of national debt. What do you think of that idea? I have all the details for you here in the video and everything you need to know about it. Let's get into it and discuss what's going on. First off, thank you so much for liking and sharing this video with those buttons down below. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Also, if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as well with the big subscribe button down below as well. Again, thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Let's get into it and talk about this, as this is a viable plan that is out there right now, and they want to take $1.5 trillion of Social Security money, plow it into the stock market, invest it, and this would avoid over $600 trillion in national debt over the next 75 years. Sounds a little bit unrealistic. Like, what? $615 trillion in national debt? That would be absolutely nuts and ridiculous, right? Yeah, absolutely. 100% would be. In fact, right now, we're sitting just under $35 trillion in national debt. They're adding billions of dollars every single day. It's nuts. Have you looked at the calculator that shows that number going up every day? It's nuts to see that thing going up, right? It's just going up so fast. That is real money, real dollars, our money, taxpayer dollars, that they're just blowing every single day. It's craziness to see that happening, right? Anyway, let me explain the whole situation behind this. And I would love to hear your feedback about this. Again, after I explain it, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Do you like this idea? Do you hate the idea? Do you think it's something they should explore and do? Or what are your thoughts on this? Now, I'm going to give you a really quick statistic really fast here before I get into it so you can understand this a little bit better. Guess how much last year the Social Security Trust Fund, with nearly $3 trillion, about $2.8 trillion of money in it, guess how much it returned as far as a percentage? I'll tell you this much. It's pathetically low. 2.4%. It returned a 2.4% return last year. I'll tell you this much. They lost money last year, okay? They lost a lot of money. Billions and billions of dollars. Why? Because inflation was way more than 2.4%. They got back a 2.4% return on the money. They literally lost billions of dollars because the money was invested poorly. I'm just saying, okay? Terrible return on money, okay? You can put money in a savings account right now and get about 4.25% on just an everyday basic savings account, okay? If you put it into like a CD, you get 5+% on just a basic CD these days, okay? My point is, a 2.4% return is terrible, absolutely terrible, but that's what they did last year. That's how they're managing the money in Social Security. Anyway, quick little side note. All right. Let me explain the situation here and what they want to do with this, okay? So basically what they want to do is they want to take $1.5 trillion. By the way, that's a massive amount of money, okay? Right now, the trust fund has about $2.788 trillion in it, according to the most recent Social Security Board of Trustees annual report that we got out a handful of months ago, okay? Anyway, so they want to take $1.5 trillion and they want to invest it into the stock market, because the stock market generally returns about 8% a year, give or take a little bit. Obviously, some years have been a lot more, some years are a lot less, some years are flat, but in general, over long periods of time, averaged out, returns about 8% a year. Not bad. Significantly better than the pathetic 2.4% they got last year. I'm just saying, okay? What is that, 5.6% more than what they got last year? It's double, right? It's more than double what they got last year. So anyway, the difference, I mean, is more than double, so anyway, all right, so that's what they want to do. Now, the whole point behind this would be to avoid insolvency with Social Security. Now, here's what they also said as well. In about 9 years from now, when insolvency hits, they'll need to cut benefits, again, most recently with the Social Security Board of Trustees. The most recent cut is looking like between 17 and 21%, again, depending on how you look at it, but it's about that 17 to 21%. By law, they would have to do that, okay? Because they would have to reduce benefits based on money coming in down to that level, and that looked like about a 17 to 21% cut of benefits. They would have to do that in order to keep the program running, okay? So they would have to do that. But the whole idea what this would actually be is to take the $1.5 trillion, invest it into the stock market, get about an 8% return per year. All dividends, any dividends would also be reinvested. And over the next 75 years or so, this would basically avoid insolvency of any kind whatsoever, because it would return significantly more money to the trust fund and remain solvent for many more decades into the future, they would no longer need to worry about all the issues that we're dealing with right now, which is insolvency in like 9 years from right now, okay? So that's the whole point about this. Now, again, when this whole insolvency thing happens, if it happens in the first place, okay, well, let's just, right now they've done nothing. So you have to assume it's going to happen in about 9 years if they do nothing, and they've done nothing yet. So if they do nothing and we hit insolvency, they will need to continue to deficit spend trillions of dollars a year in order to continue paying out benefits. Well, they're saying over the next 75 years, this would balloon national debt to about $615 trillion. Again, seems very odd to me. That's a massive, massive amount of money. That's like nuts, okay? If we have $615 trillion in debt in this country, you might as well kiss the country goodbye, because it's like no longer operational. That is ridiculous amounts of debt, okay? It's almost $1 quadrillion in debt. Do you even know what a quadrillion is? Yeah, exactly, right? Try to write down quadrillion in numbers. I guarantee you're gonna miss a couple of commas, okay? It's like craziness how much money that is. But anyway, that's the whole idea behind this. Now, I said I'd like to hear your opinions about this. I'd love to hear your opinions. Now, let me throw my honest opinion about this. I think this is actually a really great idea. Here's why. The stock market, like we know, generally returns about 8%, give or take a little bit. In fact, to be real with you, over the last, call it 3 years or so, since the bottoms that we put in early 2020, the market's been up significantly more than 8% over the last, call it 3-4 years or so. We've been way more than that. So pushing $1.5 trillion into the stock market on the behalf of Social Security, all dividends reinvested, in my opinion, is a very smart move. Because here's the thing. Putting all that money into treasury bonds, okay, and having a return 2.4% is pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. They lost billions of dollars last year alone because of inflation, okay? Last year alone, what was inflation sitting at? Gee, I don't know, 5.5%, 6%, something like that. They literally lost probably about 3-ish%. Again, let's just be realistic. Let's just say that inflation was 5.4%. They probably lost 3% alone just to inflation. That's billions of dollars. Billions and billions of dollars because they got a terrible 2.4% return on that money, okay? If this money was actually invested properly, they would not have to worry about this insolvency issue whatsoever at all, okay? I actually made a video about this maybe, I don't know, 3 months ago or something like that. I don't know. It was a few months ago. I made a video about this. I thought it was very fascinating. I went through all the numbers and I was saying, if they actually invested this money properly, this $2.788 trillion that's available through the trust fund, if invested properly, this could return hundreds of billions of dollars. In fact, I think in that video, I quoted something like $600 billion, something like that, is what this money could be returning every year if they invested it properly. Well, let me tell you this much as well. Social Security pays out a little over $100 billion a month in benefits. That's crazy. $100 billion plus in benefits a month. A month, not a year, a month, okay? I just told my dad that the other day. I was with my dad and I was like, Social Security pays out over $100 billion a month. And he's like, a month? $100 billion? I was like, yes, they do. It's craziness, the numbers that we're dealing with. So if they invested this money properly and generated, like I quoted in that video a couple months ago, over $600 billion a year in investment income on this, guess what that would do? That's 6 months worth of money that they could pay out benefits basically just on the investment income. I'm sorry, insolvency, no longer a thing, okay? The problem is the money's just sitting there, okay? The money's sitting there, it's not invested properly, and the money's depleting. We've seen this. The last couple of years here, we've seen inflation basically go up about 20%. Just in the last, call it 3 years or so, inflation's gone up about 20%, give or take a little bit, right? But how much has the trust fund returned? If we look at all the years combined, over the last 3 years here, it's returned about 7.5% in the last, call it 3 years, and we've seen inflation go up 20%. Does that work out? No. That's a 12.5%, give or take a little bit, loss just to inflation. When you're talking about nearly $3 trillion, that's tens of billions of dollars of losses that didn't need to be there. You see my point here, okay? So that's my point, is that this could easily be mitigated if they just invested the money properly. That's it. Same thing goes for them as goes for us. If we invest our money properly and we're good stewards of our money, it'll last a very long time and we can get very, very nice returns on it. You got to have a little bit of education as far as what we're doing because we don't lose it all, right? Okay. It takes a little bit of that, but there's certainly enough smart people out there that could easily pull this off, okay? Another thing too, if they just came out and just plowed a $1.5 trillion into the stock market of Social Security money, do you think all that buying pressure, all that demand on stocks and shares, I don't know, gee, do you think that's maybe going to drive prices higher? A simple supply and demand. That's a ton of money buying up shares, tons of buying power, tons of demand for shares. It's going to push prices higher, okay? So it's almost like locking in like almost a guaranteed return right away. Obviously, this would be for the long term, these investments. They'd probably be invested in something like index funds for like the S&P, the NASDAQ, stuff like this, rather than individual stocks, but it doesn't really matter, okay? So either way, I thought this was very fascinating. I'd love to hear your feedback down below in the comment section. If you want to share, if you don't want to, that's totally fine too. And if you disagree, again, let me know. I would love to hear your feedback. If you think I'm a total moron for thinking that investing money in the stock market for Social Security would be a good idea, then that's fine. Let me know. I would love to hear it. Again, that's just my opinion. Do I know all the answers? No. Does anybody know all the answers? No. Nobody knows all the answers, right? I'm just simply saying we could easily, without a doubt, get way better than a 2.4% return on all that money. I mean, here's the thing. Social Security, send me the $2.788 trillion. I'll guarantee you I will bring you back more than a 2.4% return. I guarantee it, okay? I can probably, without even thinking about it, bring you back an 8 to 10% return without even really trying on that money. It's not that hard to do. I know exactly what I would do with it, and I could easily bring back almost nearly a double-digit return without even trying that hard. It would not be that difficult. So I would love to hear your feedback on this. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Very, very interesting, very fascinating, but this is a real thing. It's been introduced by Bill Cassidy, one of the lawmakers, okay? Again, I think it's a pretty good idea. Will they really do this? I don't know. They would have to change the laws a little bit. Reason being is it is not legal for Social Security money to be invested into stocks, okay? They cannot do that. When I say Social Security money, I'm not talking about your check every month. When you get your check, you can do whatever you want with it. It does not matter whatsoever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about money sitting in the trust fund cannot be invested in the stock market. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's the money that I'm referring to. But this would change the game. And realistically, if they would have done this, say, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, could you imagine how much money would be sitting there right now if they reinvested, reinvest, dividend reinvest, and just had that sitting in the market? They'd be sitting on like nuts number of money, like hundreds of trillions of dollars is how much money they'd have. It'd be nuts, like more money than we could ever even imagine. It'd be crazy, right? But I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so anyway, please subscribe down below. Totally free to do so. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, question, feedback down below. Check out the other videos here on the channel, the thousands in the video library. The ones I've hand-selected for you down below in the description or the top of the comment section. And right now, popping up on your screen, you'll see some videos there as well. Check out one of those. Enjoy your day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you again later in